Hello, scholars. This video is going to be a reading lesson, and we're going to keep working on the idea of main idea and key details, but instead of talking about it as the beginning, middle, and end of a fiction story, we're going to switch over to doing nonfiction. So that means that it's real and not fake. So we're going to look at the nonfiction stories and figuring out the main idea of the different sections or paragraphs in a nonfiction story. Okay, so remember that when we're reading the main idea, what the passage is mostly about, it helps us understand what we're reading. And when we're reading a nonfiction piece, it can be helpful to look at what the main idea or the key details are in the different paragraphs or in the different chapters or sections of the book if it has headings within it. So we're going to get started looking at one with the different paragraphs and figuring out the key details in those different paragraphs. Okay, so we're going to read the story Walking to the New World first. And then we're going to look at this graphic organizer here to figure out the main topic and then the different paragraph details. Now, before we get started, let's review what a paragraph is. A paragraph are different chunks of our story or our writing, and we know what a paragraph is because it usually starts with an indentation. Right there, you see how the first line starts a little bit in? And then there's another one right there, and one more right here. So if we were to label these, this would be paragraph number 1. This would be paragraph number 2. And this one is paragraph number 3. So this story right here, Walking into the New World, has how many paragraphs? Let's count them again. 1, 2, 3. It has 3 different paragraphs. And each of those paragraphs is going to have a different main idea or key detail that's going to be supporting our overall main idea of the story. And being able to figure it out, remember, helps us understand what we're reading. So let's get started and read Walking into the New World. All right, we're down here. Long ago, ice covered much of North America. At that time, a bridge of land connected Asia and North America. People walked over this strip of dry land into Alaska. They were following herds of animals. The people settled in different places. Some slowly went south over time. They made different nations in the Americas. Some scientists think people came to America even earlier. They think people reached the West Coast by boat. Ancient tools have been found there. These tools might show that people arrived before there was land bridge. But people who study the past have not found much proof of this idea. All right, now we're down to that last paragraph, the third paragraph. These people were the first Americans. All Native Americans are related to them. Scientists discovered they first came to America from Asia. They split into many groups as they settled America. They made ways of life we are still learning about today. Okay, so first thing on our graphic organizer says the main topic. And so this is asking about the whole story and what it is mainly about. So what did we read most about? And I would say that we've mostly read about people in the New World. So the whole time we were reading about this story, it had to do with the New World, so the Americas, and how about we put how people discovered the New World. That's a little bit better because it wasn't all about people living in it, but it was how they discovered it. All right, so we have that down. So how people discovered the New World was our main topic. So the whole passage was mainly about that. Now, The second thing on our chart says key details from paragraph 1. Oh, that's right. This first paragraph over here, so this first chunk of text is paragraph 1. So let's reread that paragraph. Long ago, ice covered much of North America. At that time, a bridge of land connected Asia and North America. People walked over this strip of dry land into Alaska. They were following herds of animals. The people settled in different places. Some slowly went south. Over time, they made different nations in the Americas. So, they already came up with what they thought the key detail of paragraph 1 was. So just looking at paragraph 1, they said that people crossed from Asia into North America on a bridge of land. And that is pretty key from this paragraph, that it was a bridge of land that they crossed over on, which is pretty wild to think about. So now we have a blank area in our chart for a key detail from paragraph 2. So I'm going to go back and reread paragraph 2. And while I'm reading, I'm going to think, what is something very important from this paragraph that helps support our main idea of how people discover the new world? So I'm going to reread paragraph 2, thinking about what the key detail is. All right, so down here at paragraph 2, remember it indents right here, so that's where I'm going to start reading because that's the start of the paragraph. Some scientists think people come to America even earlier. They think people reached the West Coast by boat. Ancient tools have been found there. These tools might show that people arrived before there was a land bridge. But people who study the past have not found much proof of this idea. Okay, so now we're on this second paragraph, and we're thinking about a key detail from this paragraph. I'm going to read it again just because we can never read it too many times. Some scientists think people came to America even earlier. They think people reached the West Coast by boat. Ancient tools have been found there. These tools might show that people arrived before there was a land bridge, but people who study the past have not found much proof of that. Okay, so if I was going to say a key detail from this, I'm going to say that ancient tools have been found ancient tools have been found that help us know when and how people got there. So I thought that that was a key detail, that we can find ancient tools about them. So we went through each paragraph and found the key detail. Now there's not on the chart, but I want to go down and find one for paragraph 3. So I'm going to make my own little addition to the chart, put paragraph 3 right there. And now remember, we got to reread that paragraph to come up with the key detail. So let's go down here to paragraph 3, and we know it's the paragraph because it indents, and that's how paragraphs start. All right, so let's read this one. These people were the first Americans. All Native Americans are related to them. Scientists discovered they first came from Asia. They split into many groups as they settled America. They made ways of life we are still learning about today. So I think the main detail from that, the key detail from that paragraph, is that the Native Americans came from Asia and settled in many groups in America. So that's what the key detail that I got from this. Now, each parts of these key details helped us support our main idea, our main topic of how people discovered the new world. So we know that people crossed through a land bridge. We know that there's ancient tools that help us figure out how they discovered the new world and when they got here and where they came from. And we also know that they came from Asia and settled in many groups along America. So having the key details from different paragraphs helps us support our main topic. Okay, now we're going to go through a book in Reading A to Z called Gorillas, and I'll assign this to you too, so you can go back and finish reading it if you don't get through all of it, if you would like. And we're going to look at how this book has things broken up. They have paragraphs, but they also have headings, which is that nonfiction text feature that we've talked about before. And so Gorillas is the title of our book. But then if we keep going, here we have the table of contents, where it lists out the different sections of our story and the pages that they're going to be on. So we're going to have Gorillas, page 4, Gorilla Families, page 8, Gorillas Show How They Feel, page 11, Gorilla Smarts, page 14, Gorillas in Danger, page 15, and then the glossary, page 16, and that's the end with the definitions of our words. So looking at these headings, when we go to these pages, you're going to see them up at the top. So up here, we have Gorillas at the top up here. That's the heading of these next few pages. So we're going to read the section on gorillas right now and get started. Gorillas. Gorillas are members of the great ape family. They live in the forests of Africa. Some gorillas live high up in the mountains. Others live in the lowlands. Gorillas have strong, heavy bodies. They are the largest primates in the world. Monkeys, chimpanzees, and humans are primates too. Gorillas can walk on 2 legs, as some people do. Most of the time, they walk on their feet and hands. This type of walking is called knuckle walking. Okay, now we're going to keep on going. All right. Gorillas mostly eat leaves, stems, bark, fruits, flowers, and wood. Some gorillas also eat snails and insects, such as ants and termites. Gorillas build nests in trees or sleep on the ground. They never sleep more than one night in the same nest. They travel to different areas in search of food. All right, so now we have another bolded heading up here. So this is another heading. Let's see, right here called Gorilla Families. So that means that this whole section after this is going to be all about gorilla families. And we're going to use a chart graphic organizer to help us that looks like this. And so we're going to do the different sections and write some details, so the main idea and details. So we're going to work on the gorilla families section, come up with the main idea and details about it. So let's go back to our story and now read that section. Gorilla families. A gorilla family is called a troop or band. A troop eats, sleeps, and plays together. Family members wrestle and play tag to catch for fun. They groom each other's fur. Grooming is an important way for them to be close and friendly together. Now we're still under the gorilla family, so we're going to keep on reading. A gorilla baby nurses and stays close to its mother for a few years. It rides on her back to move around. Still on the gorilla families because we haven't seen another heading, so that means we're still on the last heading that we saw. When a male gorilla grows up, some of the fur on his back turns silver. The male is then called a silverback. A silverback's job is to protect the troop. So now we have a new heading, which means we're no longer on gorilla families. So I'm not going to read yet, since we said that we are going to fill out that chart on gorilla families. So let's go back over to our chart and see what we can fill out. So we have the section we did that on was, oh, I'm going to make that a different color so it can stand out some more. gorilla families. And the main idea was that I would say gorillas live with their families. So we have some details that we could add about it. So I want us to go back and reread that section and come up with some details about gorilla families that help support the idea that gorillas live with their families. So we're going to go back to the story. I'm going to flip it over for us. All right, now let's read. Let's go all the way back to where gorilla family started right here and be thinking of some key details that you want to add to support that gorillas still live with their family. A gorilla family is called a troop or a band. A troop eats, sleeps, and plays together. Family members wrestle and play tag and catch for fun. They groom each other's fur. Grooming is an important way for them to be close and friendly together. A gorilla baby nurses and stays close to its mother for a few years. It rides on her back to move around. When a male gorilla grows up, some of the fur on his back turns silver. The male is then called a silverback. The silverback's job is to protect the troop. So we're back. So some key ideas that I found were that the family members wrestle, play, and they groom one another. That's one detail. Another detail could be that the baby gorillas have to stay near their moms for a few years. And then a third detail could be that the male gorillas help protect the family. So we're going to go back to our graph or our chart, and we're going to fill those in. So we had, got rid of it. The section was gorilla families. The main ideas were that gorillas live with their families. We have one of the details being gorillas play and groom one another. Baby gorillas stay with their mom for a few years to nurse. And then the third one was that the male gorillas help protect the family. So, just like we talked about before when we were reading our other story, we know that these details in this section help support the main idea of the section. So gorilla families, and the main idea was that gorillas live with their families, and the detail gorilla plays and groom one another supports that they live with their families. Baby gorillas stay with their mom to nurse for a few years supports that, and then the male gorillas helping protect the family also supports that idea. So I want us to go, and we're going to go read the next section. So we're going to go over to gorillas show how they feel and read that section of the story, and then come up with the key ideas that support the main idea. So we're going to read it through, and then we'll pause it so that you can come up with your own ideas and then check back with what I got. So we're going to do the pausing and coming back to make sure that you got what you were supposed to get. So now let's read gorillas show how they feel. Sometimes gorillas' faces show how they feel. Their face can show if they are happy, sad, or upset. Gorillas make crying sounds when they are upset. They make laughing sounds when they are tickled. Gorillas have other ways to communicate. They whimper, scream, bark, and grunt. They even use smells to silently warn other gorillas of danger. A woman named Francine taught a gorilla to use sign language. The gorilla's name was Coco. Coco used signs to tell Francine what she wanted and how she felt. we got a new heading right there, so we're done with our section on gorillas show how they feel. So now I want you to pause the video, write down the section title, the main idea, and then some details about it. Okay, if you're watching now, that means that you've paused it and you've come up with your own list of the main idea and the details for this section. So let's show what I got. So our section title I filled out was Gorillas Show How They Feel. I said that the main idea was that gorillas can communicate how they feel because in that whole section, that's what we were talking about. That's what it was mostly about. Now, over to the details. So remember, the details help support our main idea. So gorillas can cry. When they cry, they're showing how they feel. Gorillas can laugh. And again, when you're laughing, you're showing how you're feeling. We've talked a lot about our feelings. And then lastly, gorillas can learn sign language. That's another way that they can even communicate how they feel. So this week, you are going to read a story in Reading A to Z called Deep in the Ocean and fill out your own chart on how, fill out your own chart like this with the different section titles, the main idea, and the details about it. So your story, I will pull it up and show you what it looks like. Okay, so this week you're gonna read Deep in the Ocean, which should look like this. I've assigned it to you in Reading A to Z, so you should easily be able to get it. And then you're gonna read it and make your own graphic organizer on the main idea of the different sections and some key details about it.